Okay, so Baruch Hashem, we're going back to where we were holding. It's chapter 29. I did last week because of Shovavim. I went back to chapter 28. It's all about MASHA Zaris. You know, that's one of the big tikkunim that we need to do during Shovavim, working on the thought level. Now we need to go the Fear Seder we were holding in chapter 29, and it's a hemshech, it's a continuation. We're skipping over this powerful weights in the previous chapter about how the neshama, the yichud of the neshama gives us the koach to overcome, because Hashem Himself has rachmanis on us. It's one of the most important Torahs. Rabbi Nachman was misoira, was po, had pa'ula. He had tremendous ispalis from the Tanya. When the Tanya said this over, for it was about 9 hours, maimah or sicha, the one nakuda that he had his balance over was this nakuda, that this, because we have a neshama kadosha and chelek alakamimah mamish within us, so Hashem Lamala has tremendous rachmanis on us, and that is the most powerful tefillah. That Hashem Himself is rachim aleinu, that He's rachim on us, and that chelek of our elakus, as a father, avinu avarachaman, like a father av al bano. And that tremendous Rahmanis is how we're going to begin this new chapter, from that place of understanding. He says here, in the above at the top, says, Alter Rebbe stated that both depression and dullness of the heart produce a state of sluggishness, which prevents a person from overcoming the evocation of animal soul. So we begin the week, you have to begin it with Aish, with fire. There's a lot what needs to be done for, there's a lot which needs to be clarified, a lot of birurim that need to be done before Mashiach comes. So we can't turn up to the big UFC Mochama half asleep. We will lose in a second. Yeah, it'll be a knockout after 1 second. We have to come fully energized, fully ready, for the learning, for the davening, for the chesed, for the opportunities Hashem gives us of life. He therefore outlined a method overcoming depression arising from various causes. So that was what we were dealing with, the timtum alev. And now we're going to get into that more specifically. Ach od zos, sach lasis, eitzis, benefashis habeinanim. Those who soul the level of beinanim must seek means of contending with yet another difficulty. So this already begins with a presumption, and we mentioned this when we learned this chapter last time, 2 weeks ago or something, that we started at the beginning. Everyone gets a certain kind of neshama. You have to understand that Hashem works it out. You've got a neshama of a Beinani, or a neshama of a Tzaddik, or a neshama of a Rasha, and obviously there's all the endless levels in between. So each neshama is unique in its terms of the kind of levushim it has, the clothing. You don't just get a tzaddik neshama stam. Yeah? There are people who do, and those people have a big responsibility to have a tzaddik neshama, to not just for themselves but for the whole of humanity.
Yeah, it's much rarer than we think, and Hashem specifically spread it out through generations, meaning
right.
that there's a lack of that many.
Yeah, that's true. So they're mi'at hein. That's one of the lashonos of the Gemara. B'nei Eliyahu mi'at hein.
Wasn't even a Rabbah was like Salma Beinani, right?
Yeah, he said himself a Beinani. That's the beginning of the Tanya. So if he's holding himself as a Beinani, so we can start to understand how high a level Beinani seems to be. But without getting into Madregas, just Pasha, let's just assume that because this is safe for Beinani. This is safe for the in-betweeners. This is what the name of this sefer is, the Tanya. It's all about us, hopefully, aspiring to become a level of Beinani, which means none of us are doing Averas, which is a good thing. Yeah, that's a good thing. Right now, yeah, because we might have a YITZCHAK, but we don't listen to it. Yeah, it's there. And we struggle with it. There's tension. We mentioned that last time. The struggle and tension is real. My son, apparently, this was big chizuk for me. He's been listening with him himself and his unit. Some of the chevra there who, Baruch Hashem, one of them, he told me a bunch of stories after we learned last week here B'nai Soschra. It was the Yotzai B'nai Soschra coming up. The Tanya this week is the Alter Rebbe's Yotzai himself. Chaf Daled Tevis. Yes, in how many days? 3-4 days. It's the Tanya's Yotzai himself. So we're learning on the B'nai Soschra's Yotzai, and he told me a bunch of stories. I'm going to give chizuk for the Tanya for what we're learning now, because him and his chevra, they've been learning my classes. I didn't know. He must have followed me by accident or something on YouTube, and he'd been listening to the classes, Tanya, Kutmaran, And I don't have a big following. No, I'm not on the board over here. Nothing. But Baruch Hashem, for me, the most important thing is that people who I care about are connecting. That's all I care. To be famous, Hashem Shemena, is probably not a good thing anyway. But to be able to mechazik and connect to people I love and care. I mean, al halavai we should have all of Klaiso, and then we should be able to mechazik all of Klaiso. But anyway, the point is that one of the boys in his unit, an Ethiopian soldier, he gave him they live in Israel, the Israeli Ethiopians. Let's fix that. I met him a few times, especially with Neshama. He didn't come from a religious home. He's somewhere in Ashkelon somewhere. The big Ethiopian community around those areas, yeah. So Jewish Ethiopian. So he came into the unit as basically mostly Smolanim, as they describe Am Yisrael Shem Shmein. It's sad to hear they use such descriptions, but that's the language people use. Yeah? People that aren't really so associated with YIDDISHkeit or Sionism. Anyway, so he came to this unit, as my son also did, and he wasn't from or into YIDDISHkeit or anything. My son, I gave him a bunch of Scanamudas, because I was working with BORUCH back then, with Shovavim, and a whole bunch of Svarim I gave, and I keep giving it out every time I came to the base. So he eventually got hold of one of the Ganamunas, and it changed his life. He's gone over it and over it and over it, and now he's more open now, and he's talking to my son about it, and so he's listening to Shirim of the Yanuka, and even with the English is not so great. They still listen to my shir. One of the other boys, also from Efrat, I'm not going to say his name, but he also is not so shomer Torah mitzvahs in his unit. But now he understands English, and he's also been mechazik. There's a bunch of boys that it's probably one of the least religious units in the army, and they've had Baruch Hashem tremendous shmirah. So it doesn't always. How we evaluate doesn't always work out. Like we think, there must be the frumest unit have the most amount of shmirah because they're always davening and learning, and we don't understand how Hashem works things. They've had miracles, even without their religiousness. They've had miracles.
A lot of religiousness, kind of take it for granted and enter into an auto mode sometimes, and the people who are being chazik are so conscious of it.
It just shows you how little we understand how Hashem runs things. Yeah? We don't know we just know that Hashem needs to have Rahmanas on us. But the neshama of Beinanim, this he's saying here, masik means of contending with what's the difficulty. Let's read. Asher lafamim itim rabim yesh lehem timtum alev shenaisa ke'evan. So this is one of the hardest things of our generation, because we're exposed to so much data and other stuff. What happens? We get a hardness of the heart, a dullness of the heart. The heart becomes a little bit stone. It's not feeling. It's not sensitive. God forbid. And this is the hardest thing. We start, like you just said before, we start to just do things robotic. Yeah. So there's frum people, but they're not frum in the heart. I said the other day that someone liked the quote. There's a lot of Jews who are frum, meaning even though it's only like 1/5 or something, but who keep YIDDISHkeit in an external way. There's a bunch of Jews, as Rav Shlomo was talking about Shalasudis, who are able to speak like Jews. Yeah, that was the Nukuda. Also, David Jerome. Shout out to his Tanya shir. He speak like a Jew. But then that's the whole Indian of Pesach, Peirah, fixing up the mouth during Shovavim. Yeah, this Parshat V'yera right now. Hashem's revealing Himself. He wants us to work on our mouth, how we speak, but to think like a Jew, to have a heart. That we see. Whose heart was made stone in this week's Parsha, Min HaShamayim? Paroh. Again and again and again, Paroh's heart became like a stone, like an Evan, and that stopped him, covered Lev Paroh, from letting Am Yisrael out. Now, we know that Hashem was doing that to him, but if he would have had the schusim, if he had an open heart, he would have let Am Yisrael out straight away. He would have been even joined us. Yeah? Eventually, he did do tshuva, apparently. He became the Melech of Nineveh. Yeah, and that was the whole story of Yonah. So eventually, after everything in the Shiras Yam and everything else that went on. Anyway, but come back to here. Gam lepamim lo yachol lelachem im yitzchak lekadish atzmo mutalo b'pnei kavodos shebeliba. See, here Mamish uses the language kavodos shebeliba. The heaviness in the heart prevents him at times from waging war against the evil impulse and sanctify himself in permitted matters. And he says the heaviness, I suppose, but you see, this Indian of covered lave is like a stone kind of heart. It's the opposite of how a yid should be. What we aspire for is to have a heart that fills Am Yisrael, that fills what's going on. Like we're not kaved to all the chas v'sholom the soldiers that are killed, that Shem Shemena shouldn't be anymore. Or we're not covered to what's going on with the periods right now, the lack of unity. We're feeling it. I have Shvir Salev. Those he ate a Yutza Bizarre Kodesh, Damarav Mesifta Began Eden, I the Salik Bay Nahora. Yeah, is the president of the Academy of Gan Eden said, what did he say over there? We can't imagine what that means. The president of the Academy, that's a real president, yeah, of a real academy. He says that a wooden beam, which does not catch fire, should be splintered. Gufa de lo salik by Nahara, the Nishmasa. And similarly, a body in which the light of the soul does not, mafshitin lay, should be crushed. So the problem is the light of the soul is not penetrating. So what do you have to do? You have to, the lotion of the Zohar is mafshitin. I don't know how to say it. Maftishin. Yeah, maftishin means to crush. So this is something which we have to do within. That's an inner avodah. Like, for example, you took BORUCH the other day to a spa. What happens in a spa? One of the things that's holy about it is that you have tremendous intense heat or tremendous intense cold. Yeah, cold plunge, sauna, and they're hitting the back or whatever they're doing. It's all different ways to sort of change the scenario of how the body's chemical and psychological, emotional functioning is working, and those shifts allow for release of toxins, a release of negativity and pain and stress, and then it gives room now to replace it with something positive. Yeah? So we have to work with this body. If to ignore the body and the heart is a big mistake, yeah, to just sit and learn, there's such a shita, everything's bittul zman, that's not our derech, that's not the derech of the Chabad. Chabad is looking at the reality that you have a nefesh bahamis, you have a heart that you have to work with. If you allow the heart to become like an Evan, like non-sensitive, then you've missed the boat. Rahman Aliba boy, Hashem wants the heart, so we have to constantly figure out eitzes. So here he's saying from the Zohar, it's a very subtle, deep point. It's coming from the Zohar. It's not coming from some Pshat Sefer. This is the deepest Soda Torah. From the Pneumius of Pneumius is you have to somehow get the body into a different state where it's not blocking the soul. The soul needs to be able to shine into the body. And this is something which I'm writing a whole book about this called United Souls. Is how do we figure out how to open up our hearts and our minds to mind is hopefully more connected in because of the seichel is generally more ruchnius, hopefully more lev. But how do we work with the other parts of our being so that we are fully engaged in YITZCHAK? So it's a real full bittul. It's not just a bittul in an intellectual way. It actually penetrates into the heart. That's part of the avodah of Benoni. The Benoni is busy with the avodah salev. A tzaddik once said to me, he said the hardest thing, his name's Rav Avram Mordechai Isby, he was sandek for my second son, big tzaddik. He's Rav Simaya Zilberberg's uncle. He's from the Shor family, and his mother Isby was a famous rebbetzin and married into big families. And he himself was a big tzaddik. He was a Rosh Kollel for Ger and also Zichron Yaakov Yeshiva up north. He used to go there and also Meir. He used to mechazek Baalei Tshuva. Anyway, so this tzaddik, he once said to me in a shir, Erev Shabbos, because there wasn't many people who used to come to shir, thank God I was zocher, and he said that avodah shabalev is the hardest, most complex avodah of what a person's in this world for. The heart is dafka made in such a complex way that the whole of Tehillim, the whole avodah of David HaMelech was just busy with that, just busy with being masak in the leiv. So you start to understand that this is not just like a side point. This actually becomes very fundamental, especially in our door now, especially right now after everything Am Yisrael going through with the war and the mental health situation. We need all these eitzes. We need all these advice from the Tzaddikim, from the Sifrei Kedoshim. How are we going to help? Not just the psychologist, not just the therapist. We need to go to Pneumius Torah and we need to clarify what are the eitzes that are going to heal our generation. Like my son, one of the things he's doing is a lot of exercise. You've seen that. He went running last night. We put a boxing bag up. One of the first things we did, other than put up the Sforim, we put a boxing bag up in the new place, and he's boxing away. Another thing is talking. He needs to talk. You give him time. A guy came all the way from Ramat Beit Shemesh with Pekalach for his unit, just so, and one of the most important things he did, more important than the Pekala, they didn't even really look at the Pekala, even though that would be helpful another time, like a Shabbos or something. What did they do? They sat on the couch, he had his arm around him, they were talking and talking. I got a beer from my other house just so they could have that moment, and then he even went back to my old house and they were having like a beer there, and they were mamshich the diburim, because he needs to just speak and speak and speak. The dibur is helping release a lot of the trauma, and this is something which we all need to be more aware now. But we need to give time to this. Like, it's not enough to just say, we'll do nice things, or you will buy our soldiers a gift here and there. Or the most important thing you give a person is time. So the most valuable thing a person has is time. So that moment to talk is something I'm not very good at with my wife, but halavai, for Shalom Bayis, if we really give them quality time and quality diburim, where we really focus, which I'm a bit, as I said, not very good at, but if we're able to do it, it's one of the most powerful ways of connecting. Truth is, it's the key to all intimacy. But it has to come with a heart that's open and is sensitive, and to break that insensitive heart, we have to do advice here. It says it should be splintered, and the light of the soul should be able to penetrate. How do we do this? Perish nahared nishmasa, the reference to the light of the soul. She'or nishama v'seichel einu mekolchach leMoshe al chamuris shebeguf. You're all aware of this stuff anyway, Shlomo, about penetrating the light of the soul into the heart. He knows all this. He does this. I know. You also do. We're all aware of this, but it's chizuk to hear it from a tzaddik. And the light of the soul and the intellect does not eliminate such extent prevail over the coarseness of the body. So that's the challenge. We've got this beautiful lichtike neshama. How's it going to relate and connect to the body, this coarse, low body? So this is the derech of Chabad. He understands and meditates in his mind the greatness of Hashem. He's saying, so the Chabad is all about Gadlas HaMochin and Gadlas Hashem Yisbrach and his bonus. Yet that which he understands is not able, and he apprehends and applies his mind to the point where it enables him to prevail over the courses of the heart. Why? Because there's a coarseness and a crassness. So this is where there's a dilemma. How are you going to do this esponenus and this big avoda of Chabad that it actually starts to impact the guf, the coarseness? It's very coarse. Like it's like two different languages. It's like you're talking in Yiddish and the guy is from the Bronx. Yeah, or he's from wherever. He's from Tayman. Yeah, he just came out of Tayman. And he's with all those horrible animals over there throwing missiles at us. He's come out of that place still a Jew, but he's not going to understand some Yiddish tzaddik. Yeah, he's just going to be like, what's he talking about? Maybe his neshama will understand, but his guf will not understand. So how do you communicate to the guf? That's the inyan. The cause of this deficiency, the arrogance of the klipa of the animal soul, this big ani that's going on nowadays. How do you get it to become more iron, more bittul, so it can actually understand the soul? This causes the arrogance of the klipa, which exalts itself above the holiness of the light of the divine soul, so it obscures and darkens its light. So that's what's happening with Mitzias. Yeah, you've got this problem where it's blocking out the light. We all know this. We wake up certain moments in such a cutness. I don't know if you had those kind of moments, but you're feeling in such a cutness, and this is part of the challenge, because you're going up and down. You're having moments of gilui of neshama, and then you're having where the guf is taking over, and its communication is very low. It's selfish. It's irritable. It's not the language of the soul. It's all about itself. This lashon of he has to crush it, and cast it down to the ground. So this is a high thing that, if you understand this old school lashon of breaking the body, we have to elevate it to our language of our generation. Like I said, a spa or something positive that does that kind of avoda. Not like the old days where they used to fast, or during Shovavim they used to fast. Like the avoda of our generation is through positively breaking the body in a way that brings it to a good state. This means one must crush the stitch achra by setting aside a point of humbling oneself. despicable and contemptible. So that's one of the nakudas. That we all get this. Just be real. We can feel humble about our body. We don't have to break it physically, because a healthy body is very important. But we can, the way we think about our body, and this is where he's going to get us to, is to become more soulful in our thinking. And like Hillel, he uses his, he certainly, we're going to get to that later on in the Perek. And it's a famous Gemara. He would deal with his body like he would deal with another person, meaning it has to be serviced, it has to be dealt with, you have to be real. It's there. But it's not. You're not identifying yourself as the body. That's where things start to switch. You identify yourself as an neshama kedosha, and that, what does that cause? Because then you look back at the body. Leiv nishbar ruach nishbar hi sitra acha. So by breaking your heart, which is what's happening once you get more sensitive to everything going on, you have a shver leiv. She he adam atzmo bebeinanim. And in the case of Beinim, it's the very man himself. Remember, there's the animal souls within the heart. So when you're doing Shver Salev, you're breaking that shlita that it has, that power that it has over you. By breaking the heart, you're breaking that power it has over you. So you're not breaking the body in a negative way. It's coming out with a positive result that your shama is more now in the control. So this is like a very important clarification. It's not like some beat up your body. No, it's breaking the negative presence of the nefesh bahamis, so it doesn't have control of this kli for light. You're basically creating a better kli for a vessel for this godly light, and it's through shver salev. Nefesh achion is a machaya v'guf hi takva b'todosa b'libo. For in his heart, the vital soul which animates the body is in its full strength as it was at birth. Nimsa he odematzmo. Hence, it is indeed the very man himself. Our nefesh alikisha bonam, our nisham and asatabi tahari. We say this every morning, and it's a very important pasuk to think about and to live with. Hashem gave us a pure soul. Every day we wake up with a new chelik of godliness, a new chelik of purity. Shesatabi daika. He gave it to us specifically. Yeah, because it's a gift. We call odematzmo eina nishama tahara ki im b'sadikim. Yeah, so this specific thing that she's giving within me implies that the man himself is saying his word is not identified with the pure soul. So it's all about identification. And now this is something which, if you learn Eckhart Tolle, the whole, all his books, all about the pain body, and you go back to this whole concept of identifying yourself more with the soul and not with your pain body, not with your nefesh bahamis. He uses the word pain body, MASHA and pain body. But if you go to his books, Healing Earth or The Power of One, any of those books of Eckhart Tolle, it's all about identification. You have to identify yourself correctly with the soul. Shehem hi lahefach neshama tari hi nefesh elokisi adam v'gufim nikra basa v'adam. With them, the contrary, the man himself is the pure soul, the divine soul, but their body is called the flesh of man. It's secondary. See, the priority is your soul, and the secondary, that's the whole when it says kaviyas itim, or kaviyas mansha Torah. All that lashon you heard in yeshiva, it's all about getting more soulful in your priorities. That's all. It's not saying that you're neglecting your body or you're neglecting other obligations. It's not messing your head up that way. It's clarifying a very deep truth of reality that your ikar is your soul, and you make that the ikar, and that would now energize everything else, including your body, which is the secondary. And that's when he's going to bring the whole story of Hillel, but we have to stop today and we'll have to learn that next week. We'll learn about Hillel, that's coming attractions, how he would do this, and it will come back to the concept of the Benoni, which we all have to have this inner struggle. We have this reality check that we need to do, and being a Benoni means at the end of the day that we are soulful people, and that soul is what's going to communicate, and that's what's going to give us the keys to Shalom Bayis, to Parnasa Tova, to all the good things that humanity want, happiness. It's all going to come from the soul level, and learning how to successfully elevate the body and the animal soul. And Shver Salev, having a broken heart, is a healthy part of that. Breaking the body in a healthy way, in a positive way for our generation, is a healthy part of that. And Hashem should give us the Satashmai to do it right, and especially if anyone comes to us for time and chizuk, to be available and give them that time, because that's a big part of them expressing themselves and healing. Be'ez Hashem. Should be a good week. Should be a good Shovavim. Hashem should help us break the Kavod Lev Paroh with the soul of Moshe and the soul of the Tzaddikim that's within us all.